Welcome to Wednesday. Do you like the new blue? Going for a Sussex Royal type blue theme. Anyway, consider subscribing to the channel. If you like the content, drop a comment or a like. Any kind of engagement helps my videos reach more people. There is a phenomenon in narcissistic family structures known as the golden child versus the scapegoat. The golden child is, exactly what it sounds like, the favored child of narcissistic parents. The favoritism is usually extreme and manifests as constant praise regardless of behavior and the sweeping of poor behavior under the rug. The golden child is often seen as an extension of the narcissist themselves. The scapegoat is also, exactly what it sounds like. The scapegoat is often blamed for all of the family's ills. More specifically, bad behavior on the golden child's part is often attributed to the scapegoat. The Royal Institution's heir versus spare system is like the golden child versus scapegoat syndrome on steroids, with both the institution and the press playing the role of the narcissistic parents. So you might be thinking, being the golden child is great. Well, not really. So-called golden child syndrome has been mentioned in research, with adult GCs having difficulty with psychological safety, or the feeling that you will be loved even if you make a mistake. GCs often feel insecure as adults since they know at a certain level the praise heaped on them wasn't or isn't deserved. GCs often struggle to form their own identity outside of what is placed upon them by their narcissistic parents. They themselves have a greater risk of becoming narcissists as adults. GCs often struggle with the consequences of their parents' overvaluation. Despite knowing that the praise wasn't deserved, they become dependent on it. This, combined with low self-esteem, will sometimes lead a GC to seek out praise through bragging or lying. Growing up as the scapegoat is not fun either, especially not on an international stage. Scapegoats often have trust issues and have an altered view of relationships. Due to the intense amount of criticism they receive for mostly normal behavior, that criticism is often internalized and scapegoats can become incredibly hard on themselves. Accompanying the altered view of relationships, scapegoated children often have no sense of belonging. As noted earlier, it's much more common for the scapegoat to rebel and leave the dysfunctional family system first, rather than the golden child. In much of the reading I did for this video, authors would claim it's actually better to be the scapegoat because you are more likely to get out with your own identity, and you are more likely to be able to clearly identify the dysfunction. As you might imagine, the relationship between the golden child and the scapegoat can get pretty complicated. It's hard to grow up in a dysfunctional family system and see relationships as anything other than transactional. Both roles can hold resentment towards the other. The golden child may resent the freedom of the scapegoat, and the scapegoat can resent, well, being scapegoated their entire lives. Often a rivalry between the pair is heavily encouraged by the narcissistic parents, which can lead to even more toxicity between siblings, as even while promoting a rivalry, the narcissists have already decided which child has quote-unquote won. Although there are anecdotal stories of GCs and scapegoats bonding outside their narcissistic family structure, most of the time these roles are internalized. Eventually, the scapegoat tires of being a scapegoat and leaves the dysfunctional family system. I will note here that even in non-royal, non-famous families, this leads to a lot of shame and hurt for the scapegoat, since in many cultures leaving your nuclear family, especially those seen in parental roles, is frowned upon, no matter how poorly you were treated. There are many people trying to change that perception, specifically in Western culture. Just because someone is your parent or because someone financially took care of you as a child does not mean they should be able to abuse you with impunity. A lot of things can happen when the scapegoat leaves. Scapegoats provide a lot of buffer and structure for a narcissistic system. For their entire lives, they have served as the system's proverbial whipping boy, and when they remove themselves from that role, things can become more tense between the GC and their narcissistic parents. One of the main roles of a scapegoat in a narcissistic family system is as a tool to make the others look and feel more emotionally healthy and stable than they actually are. Scapegoats are often also used as a public shield to hide underlying dysfunction. While doing some basic reading for this video, I was struck by how similar the heir versus spare narrative and the golden child versus scapegoat phenomenon are. Heir versus spare is pretty much GC versus scapegoat on steroids. The palace complex and the UK press were the stand-ins for the narcissistic parents, and both William and Harry had to play these roles on an international stage. Like many scapegoats, and unlike many spares, Harry escaped with the help of his American wife, although he does remain a target for both the Royal Industrial Complex and the UK press, which in the end isn't all that surprising. Often in dysfunctional systems, the one exposing the dysfunction is hated more than the dysfunction itself. William is still squarely in golden child mode, becoming more of a monarchist with every passing day. Harry had to face the brunt of an entire country thinking he should remain in the scapegoat role for the remainder of his life, and the downright anger that ensued when he refused. But he is free. Thank you so much for continuing to watch and support my channel. I so much appreciate it, and I appreciate, again, so much the shout-outs that larger accounts have given me to help this channel grow. I'm also thinking of adding some historical videos to this channel, another topic I really enjoy talking about, mostly about Henry VIII and some Tudor times. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you soon, later this week.